This is lesson 50. As I said, this is our lesson that will lead us into the Easter season. Into Easter. I am sustained by the love of God. And what a powerful thought. I mean, this is telling us this is all we need. This is what sustains us. As it says, here is the answer to whatever. Here's the answer to every problem that will confront you. I love this. Today, tomorrow, and throughout time. There you go. You've been wondering how to solve all the problems in your life? There it is. You know, I am sustained by the love of God. Now, to your ego, that does not make sense. How does that work? But to God, that makes perfect sense. It is only because we think there are a variety of problems that we need a variety of answers. But it is as we have the conviction of this answer that we find that within the conviction of this answer is the truth of everything. You know, we go back to the Star Trek episode. The world was substanceless. But what really mattered, the conviction that that crew had, was that they were connected. They believed in Mr. Spock, did they not? They did. So kind of the same. I mean, we're not supposed to believe in Mr. Spock. But what I'm saying is we can have conviction in the truth. This is the answer. I am sustained by the mighty power of God, the love of God within me. In this world, it says you don't believe this, right? You're sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane of symbols. You know it. I need my pill. I got to have that money, those special clothes, that influence, the prestige, the people liking me and the special people liking me, knowing those right people, and an endless form of nothingness that we endow with magical powers. They change all the time. Remember what you thought was important when you were younger? Doesn't seem to matter as much now. I know I have so many high heels in my closet. I tried them on today and they kill my feet. I don't know how I walked. I walked all over Russia in those goddamn shoes, you know, and I can't walk to this meeting. And I don't walk very far. I park my car, walk inside, walk up here, sit my butt down, and that's it. And that would kill my feet to wear those heels, you know? So I don't do it anymore. I wear these things, you know, wedges or something. That doesn't hurt. But it's those little teeny things. And I see people walking in those and I look and I go, how do you do that? The same thing they used to say to me when I was walking them. How do you do that? You know? But it's amazing the value that we have now that we don't have, that we had before that we don't have now. You know, things change constantly. So can that really be valuable? That's what this is saying. We place value on things that are valueless. And it goes, all these things simply become our replacements for the love of God. So you go, oh my God, I'm so bad. That's the next thing that happens. Okay, these are unimportant and they're replacements for the love of God. How terrible I am. Is that what this lesson says? Doesn't say that, does it? All it says is recognize that's what these are. You're not bad for doing it. Just become aware of it. These are all replacements for the love of God. All these things are cherished to ensure a body identification. They are songs of praise to the ego. Go, ooh, none of that sounds good. But it doesn't say you're bad. It says just don't put your faith in what's worthless because it never will sustain you. And that's what I like about this. There's no real judgment here. Did you notice that? It's explaining to you in very graphic terms. These are not things that you really want to cherish, but it doesn't judge you for it. Anybody see the movie Concussion? The Will Smith movie? You know, I think Bobby saw it, you know. Not that many people saw it. I thought it was a really good movie. And I think a lot of people who maybe like football thought it was against football. It had nothing to do with that. It's about this doctor who comes up with this theory. I'm not even sure, CTE. I think that's what it was. But it was about this concussion theory. And because he was doing autopsies on former football players who were dying, and he began to find some anomaly in the brain that he could see had to do with concussive hitting. And that's what he came up with anyway. That was the theory. And I think it was like a Nigerian doctor. Am I right? I think he was from Nigeria. But anyway, so the NFL hated him. You know, they basically wanted to run him out of business, you know, when he started talking about this. And during this process, he finds a gal who's coming over from Nigeria and she needs a place to stay in. He's just the sweetest guy in this movie about this documentary about this guy's life. And he gives her a place to stay, and they end up falling in love, and he ends up marrying her. And he knows the work that she knows the work he's doing, and she finds it she loves watching football. And here he is studying about the terrible impact of football on the brain, and she finds it exciting and goes, "Oh, it's almost beautiful. It's almost balletic. You know, it's very lovely how it's kind of neat." And so she enjoys watching it. And here he is studying the effects of it. Well, finally, you know, his life, his career is somewhat destroyed by this powerful machine of the NFL because he's coming out with this. And finally, his research is so overwhelming, and families of these players come out saying, you know, these men have changed. They're angry now because of being hit in the head so many times. All this stuff is coming out. Finally, he gets a voice. And all he says through this entire thing, he says, "I'm not trying to put down football." He said, "My wife likes football. I just want you to know what this kind of excessive pushing on the brain can do. This hitting of the brain can do. Then you make the decision." I love that. His final talk to the NFL and the players and all this was that. No judgment about football, just explaining the cost of it. This is what it does. I'm not against football. I just want you to understand, from a doctor's perspective, this is what this does, without judgment. And see, then you can make a decision. Now you get to make a decision. Will you play football? Will you not play football? Do you watch football? Do you not? They said if only 10% of mothers would not put their kids in football, in whatever the little league they do, it would end football because there wouldn't be any new kids playing it. But, you know, people are going to do what people are going to do. People have to make the decision. But to me, this is exactly what we're asked to do. Not judge, good or bad. You make the decision. Here's all the information. You decide. That's what this lesson says. All the things that you have endowed with these magical powers are replacements for the love of God. These things that we think protect us. Now, it doesn't say stop doing it, because you're probably not going to stop locking your door. You are not going to stop buying your high heels, if that's what you buy. You know, you're not asked to stop any of those things. Just recognize that they never give you the safety and security you think that they're going to give you. Doesn't mean you don't do it. It just means that they're replacements for something greater. And we need to ask in our minds, in our hearts, what would you have me do, Father? Not, by the way, Beverly, what would you have me do? I don't know. Because you know what? The Holy Spirit speaks to you, as the Course says. He doesn't speak to somebody else for you. He speaks to you. That's what you should do. But look at these things. Just look at the things in your life. Begin to look at what we have given value to and ask, I am sustained by the love of God, or affirm that in the face of all of these things. That's all we're asked to do. That this should be our preference, not that we are to get rid of everything that we find safety in this world. Does that make sense? It's not by changing the world, it is by changing our minds about the purpose of the world. Does that make sense? Okay. All of these things are replacements for the love of God. We understand that. They ensure that we are physical forms, a body identification. Okay. They are songs of praise to the ego, meaning that that's a pretty dramatic way of putting it, but that we are believing in the illusion over the unity, our oneness. Okay. Do not put your faith in these things because they won't sustain you. It says only the love of God will protect you in all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial, raise you high above the perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. It will transport you into a state of mind that nothing can threaten, nothing can disturb, and where nothing can intrude upon the eternal calm of the Son of God. What a powerful passage that is. Again, reminding us all of these things, what they are meant to do, what they do to us, they are replacements, but what the love of God can provide in our lives, giving us the contrast. That's what these things cost us. This is what we can have. Then go to that fourth paragraph, and then we'll come back to this idea. So it says, put not your faith in these things, because they will fail you. Put all your faith in the love of God within you, eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. This is the answer to whatever confronts you today. That needs to be our conviction. This is the answer. I am sustained by the love of God. Through the love of God within you, you can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort. Wow. And ensure confidence. So we tell ourselves this often today. It is the declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. It is what will release us. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It is a process. It is a process of conviction. I've often thought, I wish Mr. Spock would just come to me and do the Vulcan mind meld and help me to know that I am sustained by the love of God. But I have to have the conviction to place that thought into every experience I have. When I think this sustains me and not having this would be traumatic, I am sustained by the love of God. When I need and think I want that, I am really sustained by the love of God. When I think this is what will make me happy, I am sustained by the love of God. We have to get to that place, and that's a challenging place to be. But all we're asked for us, why is that? Because we've gotten so used to it being a challenging thing. What this is saying is we have to start. So we put one foot in front of the other. You know, I think about when a baby's learning how to walk, if it only knew all it was going to have to go through, would it even start? You know, I'm done. It's too much effort. I'm just going to sit in my diaper and I'm done. You know, but they don't know, right? They don't know all that's going to happen. I remember when we moved into our house, and our Jeffrey was only 3 years old, just turned 3. We've been in that house. He's almost graduating from high school. I can't believe it. Next year is senior year. We've gone through, 7 years of elementary school, counting kindergarten, 2 years of middle school, 9, and then 4 years of high school. There'll be 13. 13 years of just normal school, to then, go through 4 more years of college. And if you want advanced degrees, go more than that. And he wants to be an engineer, so it's always 5 years. So it's, it's all this stuff that you have to do. And if you looked at it from that perspective, baby, it's going to be 18, 19, 20 years of school for you coming up. Ready? Let's get walking now. Come on. We got to get moving here. Would a baby go, oh, I'm done. No more. But we put one foot in front of the other and we start again. So when we are faced with the challenges of life, whatever they may be, it's time for us to simply put one foot in front of the other, to look at the things that we think sustain us and say, I am sustained by the love of God. Then that's it. You go, well, what should I do about that then? I don't know. What do you think you should do about that?